All right, what's going on? Welcome to Insight with Irv. I got a special episode for us today because this is one that I've gotten a lot of questions about. I've even created like a whole program on it, but I wanted to give you more behind the scenes of the what I call the 2023 version of what it's like to build a brand, more so a personal brand, and what that translates to into monetizing it and how you can take advantage of that, why you should consider doing it, right? And what happens if you don't do it. And so up to this point, I've been fortunate to generate over 7 figures in revenue from having a personal brand all organically. I don't think that we started necessarily running our first ad until, believe it or not, this year. Actually, recently. That's when we started running our first ad because we're looking to really take this thing to the next level. Not saying that you can't organically, but at least for where I'm at right now, based off of the information that I'm using, I think that the strategy of it's literally 90% organic, 10% ads. So it's not even adding like fuel to the fire at a large scale by any means, but it's just like more of testing, right? But anyways, the reason why I bring that up is because I see a lot of people that have services. And when I say people, I'm going to refer to the clients that I deal with inside of my program, the Insight Inner Circle, small business owners, entrepreneurs, is one of the things that I do is I look them up. And I can count on one hand out of the hundreds of clients that we have of how many of them have a brand, how many of them have a following, how many of them are even telling people about their stuff online. There's a select few. And I can never figure out if you're putting out good work and if you enjoy what you do, why wouldn't you tell more people about it? Sometimes I think it's just they're just nervous. I think that they just feel that they maybe what are people going to say? I'm not well spoken. I don't know how to post, whatever that excuse is. And so in this episode, I want to at least try to break down some limiting beliefs of maybe some things that I've gone through and hopefully kind of pass that on to you. So the first reason that I'm going to give you, I'm going to start off with what happens when you do build a personal brand. And then I'm going to end the episode on with what happens when you don't build a personal brand. When you build a personal brand, and again, from the context of not just to have a large following, let me put context around this with the context of you want to serve more people and you want to make more money. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that in this podcast, we're going to talk about making more money because I believe that we're going to move an economy. With money, we're able to give back to charities. With money, we're able to donate to our churches. With money, we're able to donate to impoverished countries, to a bigger cause, like whatever it is. So I don't want you to think that this is evil. This is a real conversation. So first things first, we want to talk about making more money and we want to talk about impacting more people. First thing that's going to happen is you're going to stand out in a commoditized and a crowded market. The best example that I can think of is Nike. Ladies and gents, Nike sells a commodity. They sell a rubber sole that is packaged and made in China. Like, let that sit for a second. Nowhere in the commercial does Nike talk about the technology of the shoe. Nowhere in the commercial does Nike talk about how you're able to maybe walk an extra 3 miles without your back hurting. Nowhere in there do they say that they're orthopedic certified compared to maybe other companies that have to push constant features in front of their audience or their clients so that they can sell not even half of what Nike sells. But there's one thing that Nike does value, and there's one thing that Nike does put in the forefront, and that's the athlete. Notice that the avatar or the image that they put in front of us, the consumer, is the avatar, because then we get affinity with, Michael Jordan. I want to fly like Mike. I want to jump like LeBron. I want to run. Well, I was going to say Usain Bolt, but Usain Bolt's Puma. I want to run like insert athlete. I want to swim like Michael Phelps if he's sponsored by Nike, right? Like whatever that is, we start to get affinity with these people that we want to be like, whether consciously or subconsciously, because we respect them for the discipline that they have. And really, they're just wearing the same material that we do, that we are, but are we ever going to run like Mike or jump like Mike or play ball like LeBron James? Probably not. But it's the same thing that I want you to think about in your business when you are maybe putting out a message is, hey, am I going to maybe connect with single women, if you're maybe a single woman who has 3 kids? If you never put out that message, then what ends up happening is you get crowded in a space of people who are maybe offering therapy just like you, or people who are offering computer services just like you, which is why for the love of everything that I believe in, I don't understand how some of us don't take advantage of these free platforms. A lot of people say, well, these free platforms are exploiting us. Guys, think about it for a second. Like, the cost of impressions on these platforms is still, in my opinion, highly undervalued, even if organic reach isn't like paid reach, right? But when you have a good message, people start to gravitate to you. Think of it as free eyeballs coming your way. Number two is people are going to gain affinity with you, and in turn, they're going to want to do business with you. Don't be afraid to share some of your story. Don't be afraid to share where you're from, your background, what you've struggled with, what you've overcome. Maybe if you aren't at the level that you want to be at in your business, you can go ahead and share, hey, this is what I'm working on today, guys. I just started my e-commerce brand. It's been 6 months. I'm still packaging this thing up. Dude, grab your phone. Like, one of the easiest things you can do, grab your phone. Hey, Monica, I have all the orders that you just did today. I'm sending it out personally with a handwritten card, and you should be getting this over into your inbox in the next 3 days. Like, even little things like that, you tag the person if you find them on social media. Guess what happens? People say, that's cool. Let me share that because they're talking about me. And so now you have not just the free publicity that you got from somebody sharing your story to, let's say they have an audience of 600 people. Now 600 people are going to see your stuff on their side. So now you built trust by osmosis, just by them sharing. So like, oh, if Monica thinks they're cool, let me go check them out. Because word of mouth is still very powerful in 2023 and beyond, depending on when you're watching this. If you're watching this into the new year, hence, it's still the king. Number three, it's going to cost you far less money. I think this is a no-brainer, but it's going to cost you far less money and hassle to gain clients. My easiest clients are people that watched my content on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, or all three. The more the merrier. These are people that were watching me for over 6 months. These were people that had engaged with me at one point or another, whether it was in my DMs, because I have a pretty good gauge. I'm still in my own DMs. Like, that's one thing that I don't think that I'll ever delegate, regardless of our audience size, is I'm still in my own DMs. Like, yeah, I have a team, but I'm still in my DMs. So whenever I'm reading a message, it's me. Whenever I'm responding back to someone, whether on Facebook, on Instagram, or even on YouTube, it's me. Like, I'm still, yeah, I have a team, but I'm in charge of responding because I never want to lose that touch with my audience. And so I've noticed that the people that are getting the results the fastest, and when we're coaching them, are listening to the direction that we're giving them, are clients that have just been watching my stuff. And so they're already coming in believers. And so they're already coming in with an affinity of, I like the way Irv thinks, I like the way Irv operates, and I want the results that he's gotten for other clients. Now, insert that thought into what maybe you are trying to build, right? If you have a clothing brand, and somebody's been watching you for a minute because they maybe saw you wear it on a podcast somewhere, or they saw you wear it, maybe you were out at dinner because you're a representation of your brand. They're like, that's kind of nice. Wow, that, I didn't think that they'd be able to rock that maybe shirt with those type of jeans. I want that for myself. Oh, I didn't realize that it would look like that on their build. And so they start to get this connection with you, and they then realize, you know what? Yeah, let me support this business. They come from my same background. They came and they battled what I battled. I can connect with that. So again, don't be afraid to share your message with people on what you've come through and what you're currently working on. Then number 4 on why you need to build a brand is you become an authority in your space. And I'm going to use myself as a case study quite a bit in this podcast, like I have been, because again, I built in my audience. We were over 1 million followers across all platforms, right? Which is pretty cool. But I've built up a pretty good, what I say, brand authority, or authority in what we call the credit space, specifically the business credit space. And we haven't even been doing it that long, which is pretty fun. Like, there's people that have been doing in this space for decades, and they don't have the brand appeal or even like the audience attention that we have. And I don't say that to brag. I say that as like, hey, this has been awesome to see that. This has been an absolute privilege. But also what's come with that is a responsibility, which it's a responsibility that you do not want to take lightly, but it is a big leverage point, and that's this. When you become a authority in your space, insert financial content, insert fashion, insert auto repairs, insert construction, insert real estate. When a piece of content comes out or a topic of discussion comes up, you will know if you've built up enough authority when people start tagging you on posts or people start asking you, whether it's in person or in your DMs online, is this legit? That's when I started really noticing, like, oh, hey, we're starting to like really build something here. When people would tag me on other people's posts and they would say, hey, at Irv Official, is this legit? And they were asking me almost like a fact checker, which first when I got that, I was like, that's kind of weird, right? But they valued my opinion because I was serving my audience for so long. Then the other side of it is maybe you don't have an audience just yet. You're starting to build it up. You'll start, which also happened to me, you'll start to have people in real life ask you, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts on that? And so now they trust your opinion on something that you've maybe been talking about. So they see you as an authority in that space. And so what ends up happening is you will graduate, because you don't want to rush this process, you'll graduate from giving out free content without asking to all of a sudden helping people out for free, to then they come back and they say, hey, do you have more of that stuff that you helped me out with? Insert problem, insert solution. To in return, you'll say, I do, but now when I helped you out the same time 4 months ago, I got a little bit busier since then. And so my schedule is a little bit more booked. And so the only way I can squeeze you in is insert dollar amount. So now you can start monetizing your service, your product, your expertise, because you've earned the right. But now I want to transition into the last half of this episode, which is what happens if you don't build a brand. The first thing that happens when you don't build a brand is that you're always going to compete on price. And the fastest way to the bottom is when you're constantly slashing your prices in order to retain customers. It is the worst business model. That is not what you are in business for. The whole point of business is so that you can outspend and out-earn your competitors. One of the ways you can do that is by being able to charge more money, which again, having a brand allows you to do. If you don't have a brand, you're not able to do that. And in turn, you end up in a red ocean. You want to be in a blue ocean, kind of like the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. Second thing that happens when you don't build a brand is that it's easy for your product or service to get lost in the crowd. You sound like everyone else sounds. You look like everyone else looks, and you feel like everyone else feels. Again, a terrible place to be, because then you just compete on features and benefits. Another terrible place to be. You don't stand out from the crowd. The last thing that happens is whenever you have something that's new that you're working on, you're not able to take them on board on the journey with you. So if I right now, as an example, wanted to, not saying that I would do this because I like what I do, but if I wanted to transition into maybe offering another service, I'm sure that if I were to post that right now on my social platforms, there's going to be a percentage of people that are going to say, yeah, I want that service. I trust Irv and whatever he does. Obviously, if it makes sense for the brand, let's run with it. And so now we have a whole base that we've transitioned over. Usually that rule of thumb is right around 10%, give or take. If you really want to be conservative, let's say 1%, 1% on even 1% on let's say 10% on 1,000 person following, that's what, 100. 1% of that is what? 10 people. And that's at 1,000 person following. But if you have 10 people at a service that's, let's say, $3,000 a month, if you have maybe a recurring service, that's $30,000 right there, give or take. Again, everyone's business is different, but I just want to share with you, and I want to kind of like tell you how that transition over into the other side when you're building it out right. But again, that's going to be totally up to you on how you want to structure it. If you still want to sleep on how powerful it is to build a personal brand, I'm going to let you be. But for those of us that are willing to go out there, take notes, take action on this, I'm telling you, it's one of the best things that you can do for your life, for your business, and for your income potential. If you ask me, those are 3 important things that I like to focus on. And if you ask me, those are 3 important things I think you should focus on as well. But I'm here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to give you some recommendations on things that have worked for me. If you found value in this content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. And you guys know we don't run any type of ads to these episodes. So the only thing that I ask is that you share this with someone that you know is going to find value, especially someone that's trying to build their brand in 2023 and beyond. But again, until next time, everyone, I will see you in the next episode.